That imposter syndrome is going, am I good enough?
Yeah.
Right? You know, your whole life you feel like you're too young.
Yeah.
And then eventually you suddenly feel that like
Too
you're too
old.
old.
Yes.
Right? And then even while you're feeling too old, then you suddenly think you're too young for that, right?
Yes.
So failure and success are on the same road. It's not like failure's there, success is over there. They're not in different directions. They're on the same direction. You only get to success through failure. So when
You've got to say that again. You've got to say that again. Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the Fanatic Mindset with Tlalane Ntuli. Today I am with the incredible Tony Davis. I call him the CEO Whisperer. Not something he likes too much, but Tony is an entrepreneur and Tony is an author of this incredible book that I've just been reading called The Triple Guarantee, and we're going to talk about it shortly. Tony, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor.
Thank you for coming.
Having the right mentor who can talk you through some of the politics of corporate and the way to handle things and you know, that old story about, you know, you get to the top of the ladder and realize the ladder's against the wrong wall.
I love that. I've never heard that before.
Really?
No, I've never.
And that happens all the time. You know, guys get to their 40s, 50s, 60s and they go, yeah, wish I hadn't done that. Too late.
Sure.
You know, so so yeah, I think it's good to get perspective always in life and to get context as to what you're doing and have people speak in your life, because you know what it's like. You've seen other people and you can look at their life and you go, oh, they should change this or this.
Yes.
But you know, one of my mentors said to me once, he said, you can't see where you are when you're in your own fog.
Wow.
Can't see where you are when you're in your own fog.
Sure.
And it's true. You know, there's been times when I remember a few years ago, I was really battling with something. And my wife said to me, so if you were to give somebody else advice how to get out of your situation, what would you do? And I said, oh, well, that's easy. They should just do this, 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 and this. And she wrote it down. She said, there you go. That's what you need to do. And I was like, okay. Not so easy taking your own medicine, right?
Well, I suppose, which is why it's important to have external people.
Absolutely.
You can't be your own coach. You can't be your own mentor, and you can't be your own business advisor, right? I think you've alluded to this already. Can you find one person who can do it all? So
I think you can, but not necessarily for the rest of your life. You know, there's seasons for everything, right? You know, so there are coaches who are good to get you through a particular season, and then their efficacy sort of stops. Even mentors take you for a period of time. Sometimes they can take you through the rest of your life. And business advisors, certainly they come in for a specific issue. So I might bring somebody in for, as I say, you know, financial issue, and somebody else for an operational issue, and so on like that, or an industrial engineer to come and help you sort something out. So I think these types of people change. Finding one person is, I always say to somebody, if you can find somebody to get going with that, and often it's in the form of a mentor. So mentors often can then be business advisors because they've often solved those problems that you're going through. And if the mentor understands what coaching is about, they can also coach you to some extent. So you may have a discussion and sort of say, you know, how did you do that and all the rest of it. So sometimes a person who understands triple guarantee, they sometimes are mentoring and saying, I did this and this is what you should do. And sometimes they're going, well, that's interesting. What would you do about that?
Which is what a coach would do.
What a coach would do. You know, what's stopping you from doing that? You know, how do you feel about that? What are the bottlenecks that you feel are in your life? And that's important, because when somebody just tells you what it is, you take it on board to some extent. But when somebody gets you to ask questions about yourself, you typically engage more. Right, and you also get that those revelations, those aha moments.
Yes. So I want us to maybe talk a little bit about the triple guarantee in relation to Tsile's story. So Tsile is an entrepreneur, but she's also still in corporate. And she runs this incredibly successful shoe business called Umzi.
Right.
And, you know, she's had 12 years in the business now.
Right.
She talks about the starting point of her business having been, I suppose, an epiphany that there are women that are looking for beautiful shoes like herself. And
some women, I thought all women look for beautiful shoes.
Absolutely, and who are willing to pay a good price for it because they want the quality, but that she went to Brazil,
right,
and that was the first time when she started to sell the shoes. For somebody like that, what mindset would one need to be in? She loved shoes that much. And I know there would have been a lot of people who watched that episode saying, I love, I don't know, dancing that much. I love podcasting that much. Right. What mindset would they need to be to have been propelled into going all the way?
Right. Yeah, I think I think you and we did talk about this once before, but you know, you should do what you love, right?
Yes.
And that is true.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you shouldn't necessarily always make money out of what you love, but you should do what you love. So sometimes this should just be a hobby or a lifestyle, and sometimes it's a business. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things is certainly whatever you're passionate about, if you can find work in that area, you know, they say you'll never work a day in your life again. Yes. I disagree with that. I think you do work because there's always things you don't like, and there's always ways you have to apply yourself, but you'll enjoy what you do much more than doing something you won't. So I think it's great to do that, to then take that step of going from being in corporate to running your own business. Mm-hmm. You have to ask yourself, am I an entrepreneur? Mm-hmm. Right? So you have to say, am I prepared to sell? Because I'll speak to a lot of entrepreneurs and say, no, I can't sell, but I'm really good at making this. And I'm going like, don't start a business, because you know, all your income is going to come from your customers. So if you can't bring customers in, you won't have a business. So sales is really key to being an entrepreneur.
Sure.
And when you love something as passionately as she does, you become if I can use this word, you become an evangelist for your own business.
Yes.
That's sales. Sales is really just telling people about what you love doing and going, look at this. Sales is helping somebody to make a decision to buy something that they either want or need.
Sure.
Helping somebody to make a decision to buy something they want or need. So in her case, there are lots of people who go, I want beautiful shoes, and I'm prepared to pay a premium for really high quality, beautiful shoes like these, right?
Yeah.
And then go, great, I can meet that need for you, right? And here we do, and there's an exchange of value.
Yeah. I mean, in the book, there's a point at which you talk about the different stages, particularly of the entrepreneurial journey. I can't remember actually which chapter it is. I think it might have been chapter 3 or something. And you talk about the importance of recognizing which part of the journey that you're in and what you need for that part of the journey.
Right.
Can you talk, I mean, for her, she started 12 years ago, and she, by the way, she's still a full-time employee.
Yes.
Well, she's a consultant, actually, more than a full-time employee. But can you talk about those different phases? And from the perspective of, you know, business advising, coaching, and mentoring, what does one need? So what would she have needed? Let's assume, you know, 12 years ago she was starting out. What would your advice have been from the perspective of advising, you know, all these 3 things?
Right. So I think I always look at, I mean, you can get as complicated as you like. I always try to keep things fairly simple. So I always think there's really 4 stages in business, and although it's sort of linear to some extent, you can sort of, it's like snakes and ladders. You can go up and then you can go down and up and down. But you start off and it's like survival. So I'll talk about survival, then stability, then success, then significance. And your survival is typically 2 to 5 years. So most businesses, you get going, and it's somewhere between 2 to 5 years to get a business up and running.
Yeah.
I know some people do it quicker, and some people can take 10, 15 years, but normally it's about 2 to 5 years to get a business to sort of the point where you're sort of going from survival. In other words, you're sort of, we're broke one day, we've got money, we're broke, you know, you're in that sort of cycle.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for the simplicity with which you have explained these concepts. But most importantly, thank you for this book, The Triple Guarantee, The Power of Guided Growth.